First of all, you'll be able to think of it without any pain. You'll be able to be exposed to a similar situation or the same stimulus. For example, I worked with a woman early in my first EFT days who had fear of the dentist so badly that she needed to be anesthetized, completely knocked out to get even a cavity filled. And she was upset because there weren't any dentists left in town that would actually completely sedate you to do a cavity. And she was terrified. She had a bunch of built up dental work that she hadn't had done because she was afraid of the dentist. So she came to me the day before her appointment. Her strategy was to drink as many margaritas as she could beforehand, thinking that that would help. And we tapped on this fear of the dentist. And I said, well, what does it remind you of? And she said, this may not have anything to do with it. And when they say that, it usually does. And including when you have a memory float up and you're thinking that is totally unrelated. It's probably not unrelated if you're tapping and it floats up during the tap. She had a memory of having an unnecessary surgery as a child. The doctor was taking her little sister's tonsils out and said, hey, to the parents, I'll do a 2-for-1. Let's do your 5-year-old at the same time. I know she doesn't need the surgery, but hey, she probably will at some point. I'll give you a good deal. So as they were knocking her out to open her mouth, to put their hands in her mouth and do something, she was feeling traumatized and violated for having an unnecessary surgery. And so she had an abject fear also that she was going to die because they put this thing over her mouth. So all this fear went into her body, and for her whole life, she couldn't understand why she had fear of the dentist. But it was the similar situation of a masked doctor person leaning over her, even though the original trauma wasn't about being with a dentist. So what I did in that session was we talked about that as we tapped. I had her tell the story again and again until she had a huge release. And then I tested that work by going zzz, zzz, to see if that would send her up the wall. And it did, and we would tap, and then I would make the sound again, and we would tap. Finally, I was able to make the sound, and she would just laugh. And I was like, okay. She went to the dentist the next day and was fine. So that's how we know it's undone. It doesn't trigger us anymore. And we can test it by going and seeing that person that we tapped on that we didn't want to talk to, or having that conversation. Or you'll actually feel physical pain come out of your body and you're like, oh, my shoulder moves again and it stopped hurting, or the swelling went away.